Welcome to Missed Opportunities for Good, the podcast where we open up the space to have conversations about trends and campaigns at the intersection of marketing, advertising, and impact.
Hi, I'm Alana Ficalora.
Hey, I'm Steph Belsky.
We're social impact strategists, colleagues, and friends who are on a mission to revolutionize the industry we love.
Listen, today there's a lot of virtue signaling, greenwashing, which we'll talk about in a moment, cause washing, or companies just saying nothing out of fear of getting it wrong.
Whether it's a moment or a movement, it still has to be real. It has to be authentic and aligned with the brand, not just performative. It's about the action being taken that goes along with the messaging.
So we're here to highlight who's doing it well, what could be better, and how companies can stop leaving money and the potential for real social change on the table.
Our guest today on Creative Conversations is Ben Becker. Ben, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's nice to be on here with you.
Of course. So the first thing we like to ask before we even get into who you are is getting to the why you exist in this world and are doing the work that you're doing without really getting into what it is that you do. So why do you do what you do without literally telling us what you do?
Yeah, such an easy question to open with.
We start big.
Just a softball.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, I've been working in advertising for a long time, and I had just seen a lot of, I guess, brands that were maybe a little bit skittish around sustainability or climate, and it felt as though it was a missed opportunity because it's one of the biggest marketing problems you could potentially challenge yourself to help solve. And so if other brands weren't going to do anything, I thought, why not start a brand entirely based on climate change? And that's kind of what got me started.
I love it. So now we're actually going to share what it is you do by sharing your bio. So,
okay, cool.
Ben Becker is co-founder of Better, a brand turning consumerism into climate action, and an award-winning creative director who has led campaigns for iconic brands like Google, Nike, The North Face, Vans, and Honda, with agencies including Anomaly, 72 and Sunny, Media Arts Lab, Vice, TBWA Sade, Saatchi & Saatchi, and Ogilvy, earning
so
recognition.
basically everyone.
Yeah, you've hit them all. You've hit them all. You've also earned recognition from Cannes Lions, The One Show, The Clios, and features spanning Rolling Stone, Vice, CNN, Time, The Atlantic, and Le Point. Looking ahead, Better is set to expand its planet positive mission with new collaborations and innovative products. Exciting. Building on its impactful partnerships with Le Bon Marché and Adam McKay's Yellow Dot Studio to continue disrupting consumer culture for good. Ben, tell us everything. This is very, very exciting.
The first thing I'll say, it's so embarrassing having someone read their bio at you.
It's a lot to be proud of there. It's awesome.
It is. It's very, very cool. And
it probably sounds cooler than the reality. It's not any of that stuff's not that big of a deal.
Humble brags. So everyone's got a Cannes Lions.
You're supposed to list words that sound impressive on your bio. That's the rule, right?
It's work.
You did it.
It fools everybody. Fools everyone.
It's like you work in marketing or something.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what can I say first? What would be a good starting place?
I think the first starting place is what first drew you to doing impact work? I mean, obviously you alluded to advertising, right? That's your bread and butter, but what first drew you to impact?
Probably living on planet Earth and
Nice.
Having kids and knowing basically a lot of, the way that a market-driven economy works, where advertising is an extension of that, isn't really sustainable.
Yeah.
We're encouraging people to buy increasingly larger amounts of stuff on a finite resource, which is our planet.
Yeah.
So, if advertising is a tool that can provide people with consideration or communicate ideas to buy different things, why not use it as a tool to kind of encourage that consideration with the climate through consumerism? Because there's lots of stuff that you can buy out there that is biodegradable or made out of trash or upcycled goods or made well and ethically. And so if you can create more of a desire for that, which advertising apparently is pretty good at,
So they
why not?
say.
So they say, why not start trying to do that and see what the response is, see if there is an appetite for that type of marketing and advertising and around more products in that kind of space. And I think in general, our posture as a brand, Better being the brand, is that a lot of sustainably made products in that space are a little like one dimensional. The tone is kind of has a very singular dimension, and it felt like there was a lot of room to flex that a lot of other brands that aren't focused on that area get to do. Humor, irony, entertainment, stuff that you don't normally associate with something super specific and intense like climate change, which is exactly why you should use it, because it's so unexpected. And if you can create unexpected moments, you can jam culture more efficiently. You can get people to stop because there's going to be dissonance. There's going to be something that people see that doesn't cohere with their expectation of what a sustainable brand should look like. So if you can show up with humor and irreverence, even with something as serious as climate change, you stand a better chance of getting that attention. And in our model, what do you do with the attention? Well, you convert it to something that people are already addicted to doing, which is buying stuff. And so, in our model, if you can convert the attention to action through purchase, just like all brands do with their products, it would be really cool if that purchase had further impact by allocating resources and revenue from the sales towards more scalable climate impact. And that's where the fund that we built comes into play, which we were chatting about before, runs on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So you have a one-for-one sort of climate engagement with product, but then ideally, as this project and brand grows, you have a more systemic impact through the fund, because we all know that, consumer action is good, like individual action is good. But if we want to create larger scale action, it's going to be a little bit more systemic. It's going to come through things like legislation. It's going to be coming through more broad scale action. We're hoping that the fund can facilitate some of that. So it's not all just on like a singular consumer, to feel like, it's just on your shoulders. So that's a long-winded answer to your question, which I already forgot what the question was.
Yeah, I think that all totally makes sense. And to follow up on that, I would say for people who are not already familiar with Better, can you give us a little bit of a description on, or even like origin story on kind of how you came to start Better and how Better functions, and both like the product side and the other work you're doing on the creative side underneath it?
Yeah, totally. Like most things that I think are really good, Better started basically as a joke between some friends. Yeah, so many good ideas start with the joke, and the joke it quickly evolved into what Better has become, which is a platform where consumerism can meet impact. I think the easiest distillation, like what that means, is our first flagship product, which was and is called Greenwash. We thought it was absurd and hilarious that you have all these companies kind of posturing and greenwashing and not creating real effect. And that's a lot of like hand waving. And so our first joke, aka product, was Greenwash the soap. So you could, so you can wash away the climate guilt, which is what a lot of corporations do. And, one of the tags or headlines that we use is inspired by corporations everywhere. And so that's like a perfect, encapsulation of like how we got to the tone, the style, the thinking is through that one product, Greenwash. And like I mentioned before, it creates a moment of levity, it creates a moment of humor, which creates an opening for people to think about what it is we're really getting at, which is, yeah, corporate greenwashing, climate action, what companies are doing stuff, or what companies are saying they are doing stuff and not doing stuff. But not just saying something, but actually creating a product you can buy that's quality, that's biodegradable, it's sustainably made, and the revenue from that goes into this fund that I mentioned. So, that was the first of quite a few products that we've launched subsequently, but each product challenges itself the same way. And it kind of has to pass through a series of like questions and thresholds to work in our model. It has to be funny, has to be irreverent, ironic, provocative. It also has to be sustainably made, and it has to fund climate action. It's really easy.
I mean, everyone should be doing it. It's so easy.
I don't know why everyone doesn't do this.
But it's so, I think it's so interesting too, coming from the advertising space and then finding yourself in a position where you're literally making products, but then you're also selling the product, creating the market. Like you're now from soup to nuts, literally doing the entire process.
Yeah.
An interesting way to have an impact that I think is different than most people, to have kind of indirectly, I guess, fallen into it with the fact that it's a joke, but then being able to continue to create from it. And then it's also now kind of an agency in and of itself too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these weird things where it's like, I don't know, I'll probably blow it trying to remember this, but it's like a climate fund wrapped in a climate store, wrapped in an agency, wrapped in a, like we said, a joke. Like there's like so many layers to it, but I think
giving.
Yeah, it just keeps going. So like I think at the core, it's always like you imagine Better as like a Johnson and Johnson or like a Procter and Gamble, which is like the parent company that has all these subsidiary brands that we release. And each subsidiary brand is kind of like its own world. And Greenwash is one world that's kind of skewering and playing in like the aesthetics of like a Goop. Whereas maybe say like our trashy apparel line is playing more in like a streetwear hype drop culture. And that has a different language and look and its own brand. And so that's kind of the way that we've found ways to keep things super surprising for ourselves too. So like every time we think of a new idea, it is basically like a brand building exercise to come up with all the traditional things that you think of it with a brand, a word mark, a logo, an aesthetic world, language, and a product, of course. There's a fleet of products that we have that were kind of like the MVP to get the store open, the Better Climate store, which is where all these things live.
Yeah.
But behind all that, as you were asking, Alana, was there's an agency called Spacecraft Earth. And the agency that's behind it has been kind of, I may have mentioned this before, interested in potentially even engaging clients and products and brands that are outside of the Better ecosystem, which is a very particular vibe that maybe like the thinking, but want to do different types of communication, different types of advertising for their brand. And so that's kind of what Spacecraft Earth is slowly starting to entertain. And, this is all super nascent. Like this has only really been all up and running for about a year. Wow. So yeah, just 1 year.
And you've done incredible. So much in that time.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, which my wife is like, why do you spend so much time on this? She's like, can't you just work your normal jobs and not also do this? Like we have 2 young kids and we're busy and rebuilding this house and but a lot has happened and it's really cool, and everything that we've made sold out, which is awesome. Totally. we didn't make a ton of stuff, but we made enough stuff that it was a task to try and sell it, as a challenge, and we did.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned this, but there's a historic luxury retailer. It was the first department store in the world in Paris called Le Bon Marché. And they reached out to us, as have some other folks, and they're like, hey, we love what you're doing. Would you do a drop with us and stock your line of stuff in our store in person? We're like, I guess we could do that.
To
We're like,
you. They
yeah,
came
they
to
came to
you.
us. Yeah.
How'd
And
they
they
even
came to us.
find you?
Part of our agenda is that it's a totally self-financed project. So
Yeah.
it's me and two friends. It's our own money. We've invested our own money to do this in time. And as such, our budgets are super small. Like the things that we do have to be really effective and really cheap. Luckily, we have a lot of friends and partners in the industry that lend their skills to do the things that we do. But our thinking for everything that we do is it has to get PR. Because we don't have money for paid media, we can't pay for ad space.
Yep.
It has to get press every time. And that's
Smart.
how, in answer to your question, how Bon Marché found us.
Yeah.
They found us through, some of the press that we got when we opened with, I think it was like maybe Print Magazine or the Dialine, maybe Ad Age, that was doing coverage of us and what we're up to. And so they found us through our strategy, which was whatever we make, it has to get earned media through PR so that other people can hear about us so that we can have more conversations like this. And it's worked. And so that's how Beaumarchais found us. That's how we've been collaborating with them. And the collection is in Paris right now. And it's kind of the last goods that are available to buy anywhere for the most part.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like you've kind of already spoken to this because obviously we've touched on climate. Is that the only issue area that you are most passionate about, or are there any other issue areas? I mean, the climate really is all encompassing, so there's that. But is there any other issue that you're like, we need to do more about this too?
Oh yeah, I mean the list is long.
Fair point.
That's how
I think about it.
The list is super long, but I do think that climate is a very interesting space because it highlights so much inequity in the world. It highlights social justice issues, which is important to me and I care about because the folks that are going to be the most impacted are generally the most disenfranchised. And I'm not just talking about like third or second world countries. I'm talking about even folks in Los Angeles where our company is based. I'm talking about tree cover and green spaces in parts of the city that are going to have the most intense heat islands. So for me, climate is like the ultimate intersection of so much of our world and so much of the things that I think are the most important to talk about. And it gives you like the coolest, most interesting, no pun intended, way to kind of tack a lot and talk about a lot of these issues.
Speaking of making an impact, Ben, can you talk to us a little bit more about the fund? How is it set up? How is it run? And what projects are you funding through it? Because it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's a really good question. The fund is constructed in a decentralized way. And for folks that are maybe familiar with blockchain, you kind of know what that implies, but it means that we're running it on the Ethereum blockchain, and there's a token called Better. Great name. Makes a lot of sense. And the token has nominal value, but the real purpose of its existence is to serve as a voting ballot, basically. So if you hold Better, you can vote and use that as a token for your vote on, proposals that are scripted or written up by the community or anybody else that wants to put up a vote to get ratified for where the fund should be directed. So, that could be anything from funding, plastic removal, which we've been doing with plastics, or it could be purchasing carbon offsets, which we're doing with Toucan Protocol. It could be something like, hey, we think it's really a great idea to fund this public service announcement, which we did in the very beginning of the fund, which we made this ridiculous deepfake film of Elon Musk through a community vote. And it could also be like,
It was
hey,
through
we
a
think,
community vote. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, it was through the DAO.
Wow.
And it could be something like, hey, we think there should be more boots on the ground and we should allocate a portion of the fund to, funding this climate event or climate action in an IRL in-person way.
Yeah.
So it's very omnidirectional, which is really cool. And it's dictated by the community, which is extra cool because, if you look to traditional organizations, say Greenpeace, World Wildlife Fund, it's awesome, but it's also super layered, super bureaucratic. If you give them a dollar, you don't know where that dollar goes exactly. It could pay for the stapler, it could pay for this, who knows? So there's something cool we thought about being a little bit more radical with our fund in the sense that the community gets to decide and dictate where it goes. I think it provides more of a, for nerds like me, more of a level of interaction that hypothetically is really cool versus just writing a check and putting it in the mail and saying, cool, I paid for my carbon offsets this year, or I gave my, yearly subscription payment to World Wildlife Fund or Greenpeace or Sea Shepherd. This is like, hey, you can participate. You get to decide and have an idea. You can put it forward and write it up and put it into a proposal on Snapshot, which is the platform that we use to cast votes. But, the caveat on all that is that we've only been open a year. This project is not going to solve climate change, and it's still super small. And so I think our main goal is to find out how we can scale both the brand and the fund in equal measure, because if the brand scales, that means the fund is scaling, and that's really cool.
For sure.
Totally. It's also just cool to see something in the climate space that's breaking the mold, to your point earlier, of everything else that you see. And, it's very clear that so much around climate communications is not working. So anything that can change the narrative and get more eyeballs and more attention to the problem and have people thinking about it in a different way and breaking down those barriers to get people to be more open to having those conversations, I think does more than sometimes we might think as well. So I think it's an interesting way of another toe in a different direction.
Yeah,
so obviously it takes everyone. It's going to take all of us.
It really will. And I think, whatever skills anyone has, I think they're all leverageable. I think you can apply whatever it is that there's ways that you can participate in doing something, taking action. I mean, hell, I worked in advertising and I'm doing what I can with that background. And people are responding way more positively and unexpectedly coming to it with interest than I had ever thought. So I totally agree with you. I think it's like, hey, whatever whatever it is you do for a living, surprise, you can use that or use those backgrounds to contribute positively to what's going on in the world.
Great advice.
Sounds kind of like a cliche, but you're wrong. I did it.
Yeah. I mean, and that just speaks to who you are as a person. And it also speaks to the work that you're doing, like your partnership with Adam McKay's Yellow Dot Studio. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
It's funny. Yeah, it is actually literally funny because they're super funny people. And we met them at San Francisco Climate Week. We got invited to go up there. Folks that were putting on some big events there knew about us. Again, goes back to the PR strategy that we employed so that people could hear about us without us having to pay for advertising, paid media spaces. And they said, hey, do you want to do an installation here? And we said, sure. And so we set up a thing that we're still putting together right now that's part of a larger campaign. But this was the first stab at it, where we basically set up a hotel check-in booth. I guess I'll rewind a little bit. So we're all familiar with like timeshares, right?
Yeah.
Like
I feel like I know where you're going with this now.
Hilton, Hilton, Marriott Courtyard, Disney have all these cheesy timeshares, right? No offense if anyone joins in on this, all good. But we're like, wouldn't it be funny in also upsetting, which is like a tone we like, to do a timeshare for climate apocalypse bunkers
Yes. Yes.
we called it Last Resorts.
As you would.
As you would. And the idea being, you can book your timeshares for certain amounts of time to survive these apocalyptic climate events. So it's like, oh, it's hurricane season, like I'm gonna book some time with Last Resorts. Or maybe it's like the end of the world times and like you want, to just have like a multi-decade indefinite stay. Like we offer that at Last Resorts. And so so that was our concept for this installation. And somehow they said sure, and they approved us doing this. And so we fabricated what appeared to be a hotel check-in desk, like a concierge desk for Last Resorts at this climate week. And people are so confused, but then started laughing because we had like 8-foot tall banners that explained the concept and like flyers, and you could check in with a QR code.
Great.
And,
Great.
A lot of your point is just like people in that particular space, a lot of like super sophisticated folks in climate tech and sustainability are not used to seeing that. And they're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And that's exactly why we do it, because it is so foreign to the space that it does get attention. And the other folks that were there doing stuff were Yellow Dot Studios and Adam McKay crew.
Yeah.
And they were doing their shtick with Nobel, which is like their you got to just go to their website and check it out online. They do a lot of amazing film oriented content with comics and improvisers. And we hit it off and we met and we were chatting. We're like, hey, we're the two groups of goofballs in this space that we're kind of vibrating on a similar wavelength.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do something together. And so we kept chatting, and we help support a few of their nights in LA. They do shout out Yellow Dot, shout out Stacy. Let's Not Die is the comedy night.
Mm-hmm. I still haven't gone, but I always find out too late, but I really want to go.
It's super fun, super interesting, totally unlike anything else that's out there. And they have like these incredible comedians. Adam McKay has made appearances there, killed it. Other really top notch, like A-list folks that maybe aren't even really like, super deep into the climate space, but find fun ways in to kind of engage. But it's just really killer stand-up comedy. And so we did a few installations and kind of support creative with them for those nights and ran some films, because they show films and have, it's sort of multimedia in the sense that they do a handful of different things. They have bands playing, comedians, films showing, they debut their content. So it's a lot of fun. Even if you're not into climate, it's just a really hilarious night.
Yeah.
Well, and as somebody that was at College Humor for a handful of years, it's like, and we just talked about this on the last podcast episode, like comedy is the best form of education, right? Like whenever you have something that's really important, a really important message for people to understand, use comedy, because it's easily accessible and it feels more subtle than hitting somebody over the head with "we're all going to die, the planet is burning." But like,
unless it's funny, unless it's funny we're about to die,
right?
Like you're like, oh my god, that's so funny, we're about to die. Then you're like, okay. Yeah. But no, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think like everyone, unless you've been living on another planet, but on this planet has been accosted by guilt, consumer guilt, like a lot of like heavy kind of bummer statistics and data about our future. It's like everybody kind of knows in general, or has sort of heard, or has sort of denied what's going on. So like using humor, not only does it like open hearts and souls to, ideas and information. But again, it comes back to, it's also a really novel tone for the climate space to use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam McKay and his crew are doing a great job. They're killing it, doing really fun stunts and films and leveraging a lot of that humor to get eyeballs and get engagement. I think for us, because, those folks come from, film and TV world, the folks on my side are coming more from like the advertising marketing world.
Yeah.
Our lens on it is ultimately driving towards some kind of tangible good. I think the entertainment piece for us is paramount in the ads that we put out, because we do make films and commercials for the things that we produce, but it's to try and drive some sort of purchase, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that is also what folks frankly need, is just like there's something really nice about like an immediate gratification. I mean, there's a reason why Amazon, the click to buy, is like the most clicked button of all time, except the skip ad button.
I'm surprised that's even second.
Right.
Yeah. But it's like there's something that's like an easy dopamine fun reward when you're buying something that is contributing to something better.
Yep.
So again, it's kind of taking and appropriating, usurping those mechanics that we've all been trained to be addicted to enjoy, to get the dopamine hit from, and inserting, kind of like a Trojan horse, a different kind of ideology about our world. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super smart.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
It's interesting because I talk about this a lot with my partners, because, full transparency, like we've gotten press, we've gotten attention, we get, fancy sounding people liking what we're doing. But, the goal is to create the biggest amount of tangible impact. And that for us means scaling. And so we're trying to figure out, how do you scale this project in a way that stays true to its point of view, remains sustainable, and creates the most impact? That's the biggest challenge. And we're batting around different ideas for how we want to do that. Is it to go straight vertical on a singular product? Is it to try and scale the platform, which is basically e-commerce, which is a bizarre space I didn't know anything about? Don't love it. Got to be honest. Don't love the e-commerce zone or game. I'm like, whoa.
Make cool shit.
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest challenge. It's like, okay, cool. How do you get this traction that we've created, even though it's not huge, but enough, and enough cool people that are interested in this, and then start to really scale this thing into something that feels like, hey, it's really penetrating mass consumer culture, not just fancy PR press and yada yada yada. So that's the ultimate challenge.
Yeah. That is interesting too, especially I imagine when you start looking at funding opportunities or ways to do that, and having to be extra thoughtful about where money comes from or who you partner with, because you want it to be aligned with your mission and vision and your take, because it is already established in a way that is so unique and important to keep that, and not have somebody come in just to help you fund and expand and grow, only to like crush all the hopes and dreams that make it the magic that it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's really nice of you to say. I'll take the magic part of that. That's awesome. I'll take the magic, but we haven't taken any money. So that's the thing. It's like we haven't, taken any money from anyone. We've been pretty wary, and we've had folks that have kind of have knocked on the door and they're like, "Hey, what's up? What are you guys up to?"
Yeah.
Here's a suitcase of cash. And we're like,
you're like, this seems dodgy.
This seems weird. This guy just came up with a bunch of money. But also we've had folks in the VC space that are super legit, people that deal with large amounts of money, that have advised us, hey, just maybe don't take money, see how far you can go.
Yeah, totally.
So I think for us, it's like when you start taking money from someone, you're just you're kind of an employee again.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like not
Yeah, no, I get it. I fully fully get it. I love
yeah.
that you guys are doing it rogue. Let's see how far we can go on it. I
Yeah.
think that's cool.
Yeah, so there's still money in the bank, and we've blown a lot of the resources that we brought in to keep making stuff.
Yeah.
My partners even this week, they're like, dude, Ben, like you're really good at spending our budget on advertising stuff.
Like that's what I do.
It's what I do, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's kind of like, okay, cool. Like spending money to get attention's fine, but
Yeah.
how do you make sure that you're doing it in a way that
It's
has
sustainable.
it's sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where the project's at, really.
Awesome.
Speaking of sustainability and, in just thinking, like, what would your ideal collaboration be?
It's a great question. I think the folks that we've collaborated with so far, Adam McKay in his studio, Le Bon Marché,
Yeah.
and then all the incredible people that have lent their skills and talent and ability to do this basically with no money involved, like Miniac Studios. Shout out to Daniel Stessen, who's one of their directors. He directed the first Elon Musk film, just did it just to be a homie and a friend. John Pino over there at Miniac, Stephen Raisler. These are like old friends of mine. And then also Blank Square Productions with Logan Fields, who's the director of the Climax film that we did for the condoms and Greenwash, the first film, and Dan Ruth, who's a producer over there. And then all the other editorial people that have worked with us, The Den, Exile, Butter Music. There you go.
The Den
There's
represented.
Shout out Den. Shout out Den. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So
Love
like
them.
the people that have collaborated with us so far, for color, all these folks are like dream collaborators.
Yeah.
There are people in the industry that I work with on regular client stuff, and they're like top-notch talent. And when I would talk to them, they're like, "Yeah, we'll do that." I was like, "Wait, really? That's crazy. You will?" I'm like, "There's not really any money involved." They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Whoa, that's great. That's
Yeah.
unbelievable." And so I think that's sort of my answer is the folks that my partners and I have been able to collaborate are total dream collaborators, and we feel so lucky and so grateful that all these super cool, super talented people have helped us build this thing. And yeah, even our latest, mural that we did on Sunset Boulevard last month, we did a 60-foot hand painted mural with Sean Bono, who's a muralist and a graffiti artist who donated part of this wall that he has access to and did it totally for free. Took about a week for him to hand paint with an old friend of mine, Brian Butnick from NYU, who is the producer on it. It's crazy. It's like folks want to do this stuff with us. And I think part of it is because this is a really cool outlet and platform that doesn't exist anywhere else. People in the advertising marketing space that come across it is like, dude, can I contribute to this? This is really wild and different. And I don't get cracks like this in my day job or on my big blue chip client. I'm like, absolutely. Let's come up with some cool stuff and let's go make it and be smart about it. And that's really how we make each thing that we do. Even when it comes down to things like the clothing line, we partnered with Everybody World. They're like one of our first collabs, and they were basically our manufacturer for the trashy apparel line we created. And they just did it at like this insane discount for us because they just believe in the idea of what we're trying to build. So yeah, just super lucky that people like it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
All right. On that note, and talking about all these projects, we can get straight into Greenwash now and talk about that, unless there's any other projects you want to chat about.
I think we could talk about Greenwash because it was the first thing that we put out into the world. We're like, okay, we got to launch the store. People are not going to be able to wrap their heads around a store about climate. It's like too esoteric and abstract. We had a lot of conversations internally about it. And we're like, what we need to do for our first push is we need a flagship product. And so we launched it during Climate Week in New York last year. So basically around this time, Climate Week was November in New York, and we put out Greenwash. And that was the first product that we put out. And we tried to make it the simplest, most ridiculous, most ironically elegant product we could put out. And that's what we did. And it kind of worked.
Amazing. On that note, by the way, I feel like maybe this is already part of your grandmaster plan, but I also feel like the last resorts should be at COP because there's so much distrust and everything happening at COP that it really should just be there, because it seems so ironic, especially for the people that are there, that it would definitely break the mold of what's happening.
Yeah, we have a director right now that we're chatting with to produce a film for Last Resorts. Fantastic. And then the idea is that we're going to create, that's kind of in progress right now, is a line of, it's kind of like Tommy Bahama meets Climate End Times. So you think like a Hawaiian shirt, but all the trees are on fire.
Yes.
Or like SPF 5000 sunscreen.
Perfect.
So ideas like that to accompany Last Resorts, the campaign. So it's going to be, again, like it's
own ecosystem.
It's an ecosystem. It's its own brand. It'll look way different than the other stuff. It'll look very like, shitty.
Yeah.
It'll look really crappy on purpose, which will be fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into the details of Greenwash, we're just going to run through our criteria real quick, and then we'll have you give us a description of the whole kind of campaign and ecosystem around the literal Greenwash product.
Okay, cool.
So the first thing we always look at is alignment.
Next is partnerships.
Call to action and transparency.
Engagement.
And lastly, optimization and amplification.
So with that, I know you started giving us the backstory of how Greenwash came to be, but tell us a little bit more about what Greenwash is as a product, and then also what the campaign was that kind of went around it, and that campaign that you put out to start all of this.
So Greenwash is a soap that's scented with eucalyptus and mint. It's beautiful smelling, and it's made totally sustainably, and the packaging is made out of cardboard, so it's biodegradable. And as I mentioned earlier, the idea is that the revenue of this goes into the Better Climate Fund. And the conceit is that it's a greenwash that actually does help the planet, not just talks about it. We took, the idea of corporate greenwashing, we took it into a totally different category than you would probably be familiar with, which is the luxury soap and luxury kind of like bathroom category, I guess you could call it. So the shorthand on that would be kind of like the goopification of our world, the Gwyneth Paltrow line of thinking. And we wanted it to feel like a super exclusive, super fancy, sort of rarefied product with a price tag to match, because it is kind of pricey soap. And
how much is it?
It was $30.
Amazing.
For a bar soap.
And they sold out, right?
Yeah, it's sold out.
Incredible.
People love to spend money. It's incredible.
To spend money, especially when they know that they're actually making an impact.
They like to spend money in it, even if they don't, apparently.
All right, fine. Fair enough.
Also true.
Fair enough.
But I agree. I think that was part of the draw, is that like, oh, this is actually an incredibly well-made, super nice product that does do good. But the aesthetics, like I mentioned, are very in the zone of like an Aesop, in the zone of what you would find on Goop. It feels very, sophisticated and kind of restrained. But then there's a weird thing happening, because when you start reading the copy, the design looks that way, but then you read the copy, you're like, wait, what? Like, wash away the climate guilt? What's going on here, right? And so you start to get confused a little bit about what this soap actually is. And the film that we shot, and inhabits the same exact kind of shtick, where you have a person that's accompanied by a voiceover, that's describing the benefits of this ridiculous product. I wish I had the script up in front of me to read. But yeah, if anybody's curious and listening to this podcast, you can watch it at thebetterclimatestore.com/watch. But it's essentially a very almost over the top cliche kind of, I wouldn't even say like Dove inspired, because Dove is a little bit more middle kind of strata. It's a little bit more like shishi boho
Yeah.
chic, but done in a totally tongue-in-cheek kind of way.
Yeah.
So funny.
Fantastic. And yes, we will definitely put the links in the show notes so everybody can watch it, because it is tremendously hilarious and impactful and so
Good.
So, okay, and looking at alignment, so obviously impact is definitely aligned with the brand values and goals of Greenwalk. Did you guys actually work with any influencers or talent? Like, I mean, obviously the talent is in the production team and everybody that you've worked with. But in terms of like how you're promoting it and how you're getting the word out, it's a lot of PR, it's a lot of that stuff. But do you ever integrate talent into your into this so that they can, send it out to their audiences and all that jazz?
Yeah, I mean, we did work with Elon Musk. That was
Jokes,
actually
guys,
Elon.
jokes.
That was actually Elon Musk in our first film. Go check it out. We as a self-funded project, we can't really finance the rates that, say, someone with a big draw, like an influencer celebrity would command.
Yeah.
Unless that person was really down for what we're doing, and we're totally open to that. But I think so far we haven't. It's just purely been based on the provocation of the idea and how slick we can be with our PR and smart with how we package the concept and the product in the film. Yeah, so that's really what we rely on, just our wits.
Yeah.
Which aren't very many. It's slim pickings up here. But I take what I can get for my brain.
I feel like we kind of already talked about this earlier too, in terms of the fund and the partnership that you have in terms of where the fund gets distributed and the nonprofit element and the give back component of all of this. So I don't know that we need to go as in depth again, but curious in that, because obviously the money goes towards the fund. Do you have it separated all like per product, or is there a time frame of which things come out of the fund? Is it like quarterly, or is it as a product is closed out, sold out, like it's specific to that product, it goes to XYZ, or not related?
Yeah, no, it's a super good question. I mean, the way that we currently have it structured is to take 20% of the sales for keeping the lights on costs and operating costs, which is pretty darn low. We don't take any profit. We don't take anything outside of just kind of recouping costs to pay, for pencils and paper and making more stuff. And then the idea is we allocate the money as immediately as possible as we can to the fund. Awesome. Again, the project's nascent, so these are great questions that I think are going to keep taking shape as we keep going, if we survive.
If we think the literal and we.
Yeah, I meant it both ways. The project and our planet. I mean, we always joke that our ultimate goal is to try and close the project down as fast as possible.
Right,
because if we can close the store and the brand down, it means that it's a great thing. We don't need this kind of crap anymore.
Totally. It's like what every what every DEI person says is they're like, I hope it's such a great job that my job isn't needed anymore, because then it means that we've already incorporated it. Yeah, I totally get it.
I mean, even though I do love joking about greenwash soap, it'd be great if, could joke about other stuff.
This is no longer a problem. Yep.
Yeah, totally.
That totally makes sense.
Cool.
I think the rest of it, you guys are nailing it. I mean, follow through. This is definitely not a one-off. Y'all are between last resorts and whatever else you're coming up with next.
Well,
I
we have
think
a lot in the pipe. Yeah.
so
A
great.
lot in the oil pipe. I think just bad jokes for days.
Chef's
Endless.
kiss.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because we have a ton of ideas. They're in no short supply, and we have lots of product ideas. But again, it comes down to it being a self-funded project, and can we scale enough to get the resources to keep producing?
Totally.
One thing I will say briefly is that the way that we structured the platform on the Better Climate Store is that we immediately got interest from other brands and other companies, and it was a debate internally where we're like, do we want to be totally self-aggrandizing and only popularize the products that we make, or should we say, hey, let's be more of a platform for other products that are really awesome, that are getting started by other cool people out there that want to be in the store. Why be selfish about it? And so we had an immediate little influx of people, ironically also named Better, but the Better Battery Company. Shout out to the Better Battery Company. These two awesome ladies that started this company on their own, just like us, who are now in Walmart stores all over the country.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah. And they're doing a really great job. And their idea stemmed from a really simple insight: was most people don't know how to get rid of their batteries sustainably. So they started a consumer battery company where you can send your batteries back to them, and then they just recharge and recycle and send them back to other customers. It's a really cool idea.
So smart.
Yeah. So like for us, I think the more people and more community and more support we can give for others is definitely the way. Like you said, Alana, like it's not just one person doing this. I think if we can create more of a network of like-minded or people that are interested in this space and doing these things, it will be better for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a brand or you're a company or you're interested in stocking something in the Better Climate Store, you can email Alana or Stephanie, and they're going to be our new gatekeepers, and they will review all product submissions, and then they will say
e-commerce.
Because e-commerce and drop shipping was very complicated for us to figure out, as people had never done it before.
All of that totally makes sense. As long as these products aren't stuck in your house, I feel like that's a win.
Seriously.
Well, it turned out we're like, oh, actually drop shipping is an incredible way to do this, because we can reduce emissions by not having to stock other people's products and have them send it to us. We just take the order and then it gets fulfilled with them. It's pretty cool. Genius. But yeah, you guys will now vet what goes in.
Clearly. in our spare time.
That's interesting in that sense, adding that component of being able to stock other like-minded products. In terms of the climate action piece of it, have you, within any of the products, I mean, in a way, I feel like the mural climate grievances was a call to action to do something beyond just buying something, but in any of the other campaigns, have you had any actions where you've driven people to do more than just purchase a products, but actually taking a political action or taking a, go green your local school or whatever the thing is, like any other sort of like climate minded?
I think we've kind of bifurcated two forms of action, in a sense where the fund is the arena to kind of engage in that way with the DAO.
That makes sense.
And so this, in that way, I think we're totally open to doing something. And when I say we, I mean the DAO and the folks that are, interested in the fund component. I think if we're going to fund something where it's more of a political call to action, or it's something that's like boots on the ground, let's get out there and do something, I think it feels most a best fit for the climate fund to be doing that versus the store. Because I think when we did the billboard, for example, we debated this a bit because, there's something a little precarious about having a consumer brand do calls to action that feel politically motivated in a certain way. Like if you really think about it, and it feels more authentic for a decentralized fund run by a community to kind of be pushing that, which
Mhm.
I want to see. I want to see more of that happening through the Better Climate Fund and the Better DAO.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's kind of where it's fallen. I mean, I think it's open for debate. I think if we're like, hey, this is a really cool opportunity to be doing some kind of more politically minded action. I mean, Patagonia does do stuff like that. I love the tag that they had years ago on
Yep.
their jackets, for example. I think we could get there. But yeah, right now we haven't done anything in that space on either side, either through the fund or through the store.
And then for people to participate in the fund, do they have to have been a member of Better Climate
Yeah.
Store or have made a purchase, or can anyone participate and join the community and vote and send recommendations?
So the way that it works now is it's pretty open. I mean, anyone can write a proposal or even participate, but if you want to cast a vote, you need to be holding a token.
Oh, right, that makes sense. And the token would be
Yeah,
from purchasing
so
them.
so you don't have to buy anything at the store. You don't have to do anything in that regard. If you're like, hey, I just really want to be participating in like the down, we've had people that are deep into the Web3 space that are like, cool, I'm never going to buy one of your shirts, but I want to get nerdy on the DAO. Like, there are definitely people like that that want to do that, and that's totally encouraged. Again, the scale is still not huge because we're still like so
Yeah,
nascent, but hey, wouldn't it be cool if there was a really sizable chunk of money in that climate fund for community to kind of vote and
totally.
direct? So yeah, but all you would
Well,
need to do is basically adopt a better token or grab a hold of one, and you can party with the DAO.
love it.
It's so great. The community engagement aspect of what you're doing, Ben, is something that brands would dream, like brands dream of this, right? Of having these engaged customers who are authentically engaging not just with the products and the brand, but also making a difference and and working together to do that. I think it's
Yeah.
that's gold.
Uh,
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest risk a brand can take isn't taking one at all. And unfortunately, oftentimes there's a massive amount of risk aversion. The bigger the
Yep.
brand, the less risk you want to take. And oftentimes it's because you're a publicly traded company.
Yep.
You know, we have the privilege of being totally, at least on the store, the brand side, friends and, you know,
Yep.
old friends and people that we trust that are coming in to do stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah.
our philosophy is take the biggest risks we can afford to with the tiniest amount of money that we have available.
I just
So,
want
so
to be in the room when you guys are brainstorming. I just feel like it's
Oh
got
my
to be
God, the
so much
writer's
fun
room.
to
Yes.
sit with your crew to hear some of
yeah,
these ideas generated. Like,
yeah, it's
sounds
basically
fun.
similar to the Zoom call right now. It's like it's basically just this, that and Google Slides.
But just like the fun and energy of the silliness that you all, I'm sure, throw out there before you get to your ideas must just be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
Well, I mean, I will say there's there's a lot of strategic thinking that goes into being hopefully funny. I don't
yeah,
know if that
of
makes
course.
sense.
Mhm.
There's a lot of thought that goes into how you want to be provocative and how you want to be humorous or clever. And but you're right. If it makes you laugh in the room, it's probably going to make someone laugh on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, so like
totally.
it's the it. I'll say one last thing, is, and you guys know this: climate change is stressful.
Totally.
And one of the best ways to release stress is to laugh. It's a
Yes.
Also
very
true.
simple, like it's a very simple equation for our brand and what we're doing. It's like, hey, we get it. The world is really tumultuous and stressful, and if we can open up the pressure valve for people a little bit and let them laugh, even if it's at a product or a stupid film that we make or whatever, it's like at least that is helping, like even just in a mental health capacity. I know it does for me, and it
Yeah,
makes me better able to process things to be able to laugh about these kinds of ideas.
totally. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a very valid point. Um,
Yeah.
well, I don't think we need to do a missed opportunity for good. I think we're good.
No, I think you've done it.
Okay,
You
sweet.
found all of the potential
Yeah.
opportunities and you're optimizing them.
Yes.
Done.
So thank you,
Cool.
Ben. Yeah. Thank you, Ben, so much for joining us today. Where can we send folks to learn more about you and your work?
And the DAO.
And the DAO, yeah. So first place you can go is betterclimatestore.com. There's films there, there's products there, there's a video game there you can play. There's all sorts of things that you can do and hopefully enjoy. And then if you're curious and you want to dive a little bit deeper, there's the betterclimatefund.com. It's a separate site that kind of shows you how the fund works, what the framework looks like. There's also a fun film starring Elon Musk there. It's incredible. He was our first partner, especially nowadays with what's going on. And if you want to, so loaded. If you want to go even deeper, there's a link to our white paper that gets really nerdy on all the documentation for how the DAO works, how votes get ratified, where they take place, all the deepest nerdy detail you can find. So that's basically it. And if you're in Paris, Le Beau Marché, one of the world's fanciest luxury department stores, first in the world, is selling all the better goods for their fall-winter collection. Yeah, it's crazy. And they're doing a fantastic job of using the luxury space to highlight climate and sustainability right now, which is part of their agenda to also showcase people thinking differently about the consumer space and what products can do or not do.
Smart.
Yeah. Incredible. So check them out if you're in Europe. Get on Ryanair or walk. Just don't get on a plane. Walk to Paris. You can if you make it to Paris walking, you send us your Strava link. We'll give you a 50% off discount code for the Better Climate Store. Boom.
Oh my God, I die.
That's our offer.
You got two.
Literally every time I'm in a Pilates class, they're like, and if you break the band, I'll buy you lunch. And you're like, nobody's going to break the band. But I'm waiting for the day that an instructor says that and someone actually breaks the
You just come with little tiny scissors and just
like start making it
chip
apart.
away at it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So funny. Amazing.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for being here and helping us shine a light and learn from those like yourselves who are doing it well and reducing the missed opportunities for good.
We want to hear from you, listeners. Let us know, what campaigns are you seeing that are doing it well? Who would you like to see us interview? And what campaigns would you like us to audit?
Thank you so much for joining us on our mission to revolutionize the industry that we love.
Missed Opportunities for Good is a production of Aligned for Impact and Love of Good.